Welcome to the Jurassic Park 3 Minute. We'll be discussing the second Jurassic Park sequel 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're back to discuss minute 32 of Jurassic Park 3. But before we get to that, David, once again, our patron saint, Todd Marks, has posted up another behind-the-scenes video, this time from Hammond's office/bedroom, where he's laying in bed. We get to see Sir Richard Attenborough standing there in bed, sort of going over some lines and talking to Spielberg, and Jeff Goldblum's there as well, drinking from some water, and again, it's just sort of setting up the shot, and some behind the scenes there, which was great to see.
It's always fun to see rehearsal footage. We discussed a couple of minutes back when they were doing the rehearsal for the deleted camp setup scene, and that was really excited to see. And this is really fun to see, just because, I mean, we were talking earlier over Facebook about there's these concept sketches that you can see if you really zoom in on the office, and there's just so much. No, I'm sorry, not the office. The Eddie's shop, and there's just so much little set decorations that go into these sets. It's great to see how much they really put into the set. Now, this one was actually a girls' dormitory school, I believe, so it's not like they built the set themselves, but there's a lot of little things they kind of hang around the set that makes it feel more like Hammond, and it's really cool to see. Yeah,
sadly no close-up shot of that computer screen. But no, and that sort of gets in the next little bit as well. Todd also posted up a couple of photos of him and Spielberg behind the scenes, and him and Goldblum from the set of Jurassic Lost World, and he also posted up there a shot of Ian Kelly up in Eddie's office, and he's in the background as an extra in one of the shots. And I got talking to him. I had a brief chat about all the photos and sketches and material on the whiteboards and the back wall of Eddie's office, and he said it was all related to the trip to Sorna and all in-film canon sort of stuff. And just this morning I've been going over some Blu-ray high-def images or screen caps and finding, yes, a lot of the stuff on the back is concept art they've done for the RV. There even seems to be a big blueprint of the front section of the RV, at least. It's easy to see. The rest of it's a bit blurry, but yeah, again, a lot more set dressing here in the back, which it could be anything. It could be, they don't need to be this detailed, and again, they're throwing all this detail in that you'll never see clearly on screen, but it's there just to build the world.
And there's something that I really like about these first two movies is that Spielberg really just throws these kind of little details all over the place, and it makes you feel like this is a living, actual world. You know, it's not just a movie set. It's somebody's home, or it's an actual island, or it's an actual place that you would expect to actually see these kind of things. I always thought that Eddie's shop kind of reminded me of my uncle's crane shop, in the fact that it has the chain link fence office on the upper level of the shop, and it's got all kinds of little pictures related to their stuff, the crane schedule, concept art, of just photographs of his cranes and stuff that he's done with his cranes. And that's what Eddie's office is like. It's got the stuff he's built. It's got the stuff. It's got family stuff. It's got personal interest stuff. It's got schedules. It's got stuff that makes it feel like it's a real living shop. It's not just something they filmed in.
And it's just that little detail that just adds so much more to it. Looking at some of that stuff in the background, there's one image there that sort of doesn't fit, and that's it looks like a white SS Camaro or something on the wall there as well, but that could have been Eddie's first car, you never know. He's a gearhead.
But that's the kind of thing I mean. I mean, I'm sure Eddie is a gearhead. I'm sure he has a nice car at home that he likes to tinker around with in his home garage. You know, I mean, it's what makes the little things in these movies makes it feel real.
Yep.
Cooper, if you see anything, yell up.
No, I thought I'd keep it to myself.
Alright, anything else on that do you want to discuss before we get into today's minute?
No, I think we're good.
As we're in minute 31 of Jurassic Park 3, Amanda and Paul are arguing about splitting up. and some of Dr. Grant's advice that Amanda wasn't agreeing with. As we open on minute 32, the bickering between the two continue, and Amanda makes a pretty good point that Dr. Grant's not looking for Eric, he's looking for the coast. At the 12-second mark, as Paul and Amanda continue arguing, we pan left to Billy and Udesky. Udesky telling Billy, "If we split up, I'm going with you guys." At the 16-second mark, we cut to a dirty parasol hanging from the tree. As the camera pans down, Alan and the rest of the survivors see it too, and come closer. Paul and Amanda instantly begin yelling Eric's name, but Grant gets them to stop and says the chances that they're even still in the vicinity are remote. At the 37-second mark, Paul finds a life jacket in the grass some distance away, and checks it over to reveal that it's a young adult. At the 48-second mark, Udesky finds something in the grass and yells out, "Hey, guys." They all run over to his side to find a dirty video camera. Amanda says, "That's my camera," and snatches it off Udesky and starts turning around in her hands. And as the minute ends, she realises that the battery's dead. As we go into 32, after Paul tells Amanda what's the use of hiring an expert if we don't listen to his advice, Amanda makes a pretty good point here, saying that Dr. Grant isn't looking for our son, he's looking for the coast. Which, I think some of that advice is still good to know. Like, if you're walking through supposedly an infested dinosaur island, even though we don't see a lot of animals in this film at all, it's still some good advice to take in, even if Grant's not looking for the sun, he's looking for the coast.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul gives up and says, "Okay, go ahead and scream. And when that Tricyclatops attacks you, don't come crying to me." Which, it's a weird name to just throw out there as a mispronunciation of a dinosaur. Normally you'd put something in front of Saurus or Rex.
Yeah. Well, whenever if that Creeposaurus comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's a good little bit of humour there, and Amanda sort of murmurs something under her breath, and Paul sort of, what was that? And she says, "Don't worry about it," and then they start to bicker and argue with each other, and that's when we get sort of pan across to Billy and Udesky walking beside each other, and Udesky tells Billy, "If we split up, I'm going for you guys."
That'd probably be the smart choice.
Yeah, yep. But I do love sort of this environment they're walking through as well. So again, we're in that sort of jungle.
Well, it is actually, it is real jungle. This scene here, it's them walking down some trail on Kauai. You can see a palm tree come up next to them. Actually, which is funny because palm trees aren't really, they're more of a coastal tree instead of, they're not something you find in the tropical jungle. They're something you find on the tropical coast. Yeah.
Yeah. But we soon cut to a very familiar looking parachute hanging from the trees, and we pan down and get to see that dinosaur stenciled on it, which we remember from the opening of the film, and we start to get a bit of dramatic music picking up, and we can see the survivors sort of running or moving quickly towards it. And again here, just with the environment, like, this is a very large tree here, not redwoods unfortunately, but still like those big trees you see on Hawaii and that.
Oh yeah, this was definitely shot on location. You can actually even see the blue sky peeking through the tops of the trees there.
And a bit of a opening behind the tree as well.
And it's funny because this is actually, I think, a similar location to where they did the gyrosphere when the Ankylosaurus is attacked by the Indominus Rex. I think it's either the same or a similar location.
Yep. But also, too, just the fact, like, everything's covered in vines and leaves, and we'll see definitely here and going in the next minute as well, where it's just like all these vines have hung down from the trees, and you've got the leaves growing up, or the vines growing up into the trees from the ground, just creating these pillars of greenery through the jungle, just to sort of, again, not give you much of a view through the jungle. You can't penetrate and look far in the jungle. Gives an enclosed feeling, but there's also a bit of mist floating through here too, so they've all got the fog machines going up to sort of give that prehistoric vibe.
Yeah, it does, and they do. I mean, there's a couple moments in the movie where you can actually see the source of where the fog is coming out of. I think it's mostly noticeable at the end when they're at the beach and you can see just plumes of fake fog coming out from behind bushes.
Oh man, we'll get there. As Paul and Amanda get over to the area, they instantly start yelling Eric's name, throwing caution to the wind. They're forgetting all Grant's advice, even Paul, and sort of just yelling Eric's name. But Grant gets them to stop and says the chances are remote that they're even still in the vicinity, which, again, 8 weeks. The way the parachute's hanging, it's not as if it's going to be seen very easily from the sky, so hanging around the site itself, yeah, very unlikely that Eric and Ben, for the most part, are still going to be here.
And actually, I mean, if you are looking across at the right after this shot there where he tells them, and they're running around there, you can see that they're almost in kind of a clearing in a way. And so it kind of makes sense that they would have chosen this spot to kind of try to land. And the tree doesn't really look that big. I mean, it's not that tall, but it's wide. And so that's probably how they were probably aiming for the clearing behind them, and they just happened to accidentally land in the tree. You know?
Yeah, well, we don't really know what Ben's piloting skills of the parachute would have been. At least he can control it. If it was a proper parasail, and we discussed all this in that earlier scenes.
Mm-hmm.
If a parasail, then you're just left to the wind where you're going to fall. But yeah, you do get some reverse shots here of sort of looking at the parachute in the tree, and you can see the sun shining on the grass behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, maybe just a little bit of a misjudgment and flown into the side of the massive canopy of this tree. But a little bit further away, Paul finds a life jacket lying in the grass and sees it's a young adult size, and Amanda takes it and sort of holds it close as the two seem to come together with this recent discovery. And then over behind him we get Udesky calling out, guys. And as everyone moves towards Udesky, we get a good look at the tree the parachute stuck in. Udesky pulls a video camera from the grass and begins checking it over, and pretty much as soon as Amanda gets there, she tears it out of his hands and starts trying to turn it on herself. But
yeah,
as the minute ends, she says that the battery's flat with disappointment in her face. The camera itself we can talk a little bit more about next minute because they get a playing in that minute. But